Story 1. A few weeks ago, we had a 10% off store-wide sale. That sale ended 2 weeks ago. Cue this customer emailing us a day later, asking if we sell a specific item, let's call it item X. We don't carry it. However, it's something one of our suppliers offers, so I told him we might be able to get it in as a special order. Since we have never sold this item before, we needed to work out the retail price based on the cost price, shipping, tax, and so on, which meant a bit of back and forth with the supplier to get shipping quotes and related information. Because it's quite a process, I didn't want to start it until the customer confirmed he was happy to proceed. He confirmed he was happy to move forward, so I began finalizing the price. Our supplier is in a vastly different time zone, so communication takes a few days. It's essentially one email per day because there isn't a single overlapping business hour where both of our offices are open. Eventually, we figured out what it would cost to acquire the item and what the final retail price would be. It came to $500. So, I told the customer the price, and this conversation followed. Customer, is that with the 10% discount? Me, no, that's just the price. Customer, oh okay, so I'll only have to pay $450 then. Me, no, it's $500. Customer, but where's the discount? Me, what discount? Customer, the 10% discount. Me, what 10% discount? Customer, from the store-wide sale. Me, that ended 2 weeks ago. Customer, yeah, but I asked about the product the day after the sale ended. Me, the sale is over, and we don't even sell this product. It's a special order. Customer, most stores honor the discount if the customer is just a day late, you know. Me, yes, we do that for products that we have in stock that were part of the sale, not for products that are special order. We have never stocked or sold this item, so it was never on sale. Since there was never a sales price that you missed out on, the cost is $500. Customer, well, I'm not buying it unless you give me a discount. Me, okay then, feel free to call back if you change your mind. And then I ended the call. I just couldn't believe it. Imagine expecting a discount on an item a store doesn't even carry 2 weeks after a sale ended. Keep in mind, he didn't ask for a discount. He expected one. He just assumed he was entitled to it because he inquired about a product we don't stock the day after a sale ended, and then he became upset when things didn't go his way. I should have just told him it was $555, then generously offered it to him for $500 as if it were on sale. That probably would have satisfied him. But unfortunately, I lack the foresight to anticipate that kind of nonsense. It still amazes me how some people think they're owed a discount just because they showed interest after a sale has ended on something we don't even stock. It wasn't a case of a missed opportunity. It was never available in the first place. It wasn't like he caught the tail end of the sale or missed it by a few minutes. This was a full day after the sale ended, and he contacted us about a product we've never carried. Still, he genuinely thought he should get the same treatment as someone who came in during the promotion and bought something off the shelf. Honestly, it's not even the request for a discount that irritated me, it was the entitlement. He didn't ask if we could offer him a discount. He just assumed we would. Then he tried to guilt us into it with that most stores honor the discount line, as if that's standard practice across the board. We've honored sale pricing before when someone barely missed the cutoff and the item was part of the sale. That's fair. This wasn't, and once it was clear that he wasn't going to get a discount on an item we don't carry, he switched to attitude mode. I've dealt with difficult customers before, but this one takes the cake for sheer boldness. It's not even about customer service at that point, it's about common sense. And unfortunately, no amount of polite back and forth can fix that. Story 2. I work for a water company carrying out repairs on burst water mains on an on-call basis of 1 week every 2 months. This particular job happened about 8 years ago. We got a call that a major pipe feeding a large housing estate had burst and needed repairs as soon as possible. We head to the yard at about 11 p.m. to collect our gear and get the plans and drawings of other utilities in the area of the work. We arrive on site, set up the traffic management as per regulations, speak with the inspector that called us out for an exact location of repair, too much water to mark in the usual way. We set up our barriers and work lights around the work area. We get out our steel saw and cut a couple of meters of tar out ready to start breaking the tar out of the road. Just as I got the jackhammer going, Mr. Sleepyhead comes stomping down the street in his slippers and dressing gown, looking rather perplexed. I took my ear protection off to see what he wanted. I could tell it wasn't to offer us a coffee. He then proceeded to tell me you can shut that thing off and get lost until it's daytime. I explained that it was emergency work and that we couldn't have 600 properties get up and have no water in the morning, so it has to be completed now. And our work was fully understood by the council and the police. We then get the usual bollocks of "Do you know who I am?" I refrained from telling him that I knew exactly who he is. He is an irritating, entitled guy who is stopping us from working. He then starts turning the air supply off, so I can't use the jackhammer, which was ever so slightly annoying. He then said that he knew the police chief inspector and would have me arrested if I carried on. I said that I have to carry on as per my emergency work order, and if he carried on obstructing us, I'd have to call the police to get the job finished. Needless to say, he did it again and said, "Call who you like. I'll have you arrested and sacked by morning." By now, I was tired, cold and wet, and starting to get slightly irritated by his actions. So QMC. I go back to the van and ring the police to explain that we are out carrying out emergency work, and we are being prevented from completing it by one of the local residents, and explain what he's doing to stop us working. He stomps off in his now soggy slippers, and I just poured myself a coffee. About 40 minutes later, headlights appeared in the distance, so I thought, great. Just what we need so we can get done and recharge by 6 a.m. hopefully. Mr. Sergeant and Mr. Constable arrive and come for a chat to find out what is going on. So I proceeded to explain that the water main had burst and we needed to get the supply restored by 6 a.m. to save between 1,500 to 2,000. Only a slight exaggeration, people having no water in the morning when they get up. He then realized the job needed to be done and toddles off for a word with Mr. Sleepyhead. Before long, we can hear the shouting from down the street. It then goes quiet, and he comes back down to us to explain that the guy was a sandwich short of a picnic, a British euphemism for a nut job, and that they are going to have to hang around in case Mr. Sleepyhead started playing stupid games. So we fire up the compressor and start jackhammering again with my back towards the police car to save anything pinging off in that direction. A few minutes later, the machine driver toots his horn to get my attention. Mr. Sleepyhead had only come down the road carrying a piece of timber, lumber for you American folks, and was in the process of getting arrested for disturbing the peace. I honestly laughed so hard I nearly peed myself. Who is that stupid when the police are around? Just in case anyone is interested, we were back on by 5:30 a.m. and had a coffee with Mr. Sleepyhead's neighbor, who was highly amused because he'd seen the whole incident out of his window. His only disappointment was his surveillance cameras didn't pick up the video, and he only had the audio to share with his mates. Mech is that he told me to call the police, and he'd have me arrested, but gets himself locked up instead. Story 3. I work as part of a skeleton crew in a hotel. This means that on any given night, I'm everything from waiter to handyman to the laundry service. Technically, I'm mainly laundry. Because of the current global situation, things have been a bit slow. But we do still get customers. This particular night, we are especially slow, which I'm not complaining about because it gives me the chance to chill while waiting for the laundry to be done. I get a call on the radio to bring towels to a room, which is a pretty common request. I don't think much of it. I take fresh towels from the laundry racks, go to the customer's room, and let them know housekeeping has come with towels. Enter the Karen. These towels don't look very clean. I can assure you they are. I just took them from the laundry room myself. Not good enough. I can get you different towels if you would like. She sort of sneered, but let me go get them. This time I went to the linen closet on the floor. Still fresh new towels, which most people are happy with, but not her. No, she wants fresh towels from the dryer, and she wants them still warm. This lady is on the 3rd floor, the laundry is in the basement. It's unlikely to get them still warm, even if the towels hadn't literally only just gone into the dryer and were sopping wet. If she wanted them that fresh, it would be an hour at least. Still not good enough. She wants them now, like I'm hiding them in my back pocket, and am just refusing to give her the good stuff. Now is when she says the line, "I want to speak to your manager. The front desk is available on call if you would like." No, your manager. Me too. For those of you at home, my manager had quit in September, and I never got a new one. So the front desk was the closest she was going to get to my manager. Karen did not like this answer and sent me away. I let her know that she would receive her new towels as soon as the dryer was finished with them and walked away. I gave the front desk a heads up that they might encounter the Karen and merrily went on my way back to the laundry room. About 5 minutes later, I hear someone in the laundry hall. I'm the only person on shift that would go anywhere near the laundry, so I went to go see what was going on. There was a mask-less Karen trying to sneak into the employee-only area. I shut the door in her face, told her to please put a mask on and stay out of the restricted area. I call the front desk and let them know that Karen is trying to be sneaky and go back to my laundry. 10 minutes after that, the laundry room door opened on the emergency fire escape staircase entrance. Karen had gone around the whole hotel and found the one door to this staircase whose lock had broken, and thought she'd be sneaky again to get to the mysterious towel nirvana. This lady sees me and decides now is the perfect moment to complain to me about the dirty laundry in our dirty laundry room area. I just so happened to be talking to the front desk about a different customer and got the go-ahead for what happened next on the spot. Like I said before, I have many jobs on this skeleton crew. One of them is security, so I get the great pleasure to inform Karen that she is no longer considered a guest in our hotel and has 10 minutes to get her stuff and get out. You're not security, you said you're housekeeping. I, who had been reading way too much Reddit, replied, "Look at me. I am security now. You can get your stuff and leave nicely, or you get to take a nice ride with the police who are stationed down the road." It gave me so much pleasure to wave cheerily from the lobby as this lady drove away, without her towels, which had just finished drying. Story 4. Back in 2018, I lived in a quiet neighborhood with my dog. I loved my dog so much. He was just a year old and was full of joy. Then a month later, a family of 7 moves in. After they move in, I go and greet them. I knocked on the door and I was greeted with, "What do you want?" from our Karen of the story. "I came to welcome you into the neighborhood." I then handed her a gift basket. She took the basket and slammed the door in my face. I went back to my house, annoyed that she would do something like that. At my house, we have a big front yard that we don't really use. I come home from work to see Karen and her 6 kids running in the front yard, one with a 4-wheeler kicking up mud and tearing the grass. I went over to her and told her that this is my lot and to get her kids off of it because I was planning to sell the house and I didn't want it to look like a pig pen. She tells me that this was her lot and that her kids can play on it. I told her no, this is my property and I got the paperwork to prove it. She scoffs and goes inside while, I think is a 7-year-old, is riding a 4-wheeler with 5 other kids running around. I say screw it and I just let them play. The next day, my lot is filled with tire tracks and lots of trash. So I pick up the trash and build a fence that separates her lot from mine. Also, my dog now has more space to run around. After Karen sees the fence, she begins shouting at me and screaming to take down this fence right now before she calls the cops. I tell her, "Lady, I told you this is my property, not yours." She goes back inside and calls the cops. The cops come and look at my papers to show that I bought this land a year after I bought the house, but Karen says, "I'm friends with the landlord. He says this is all my property." The cops tell her that this is my property, and if she sets her foot on it again, she would be arrested for trespassing. She goes inside and stays there for a while. It's the next day, and I let my dog out to do his business while I make breakfast when all of a sudden I hear my dog whimpering and Karen and her kids yelling. I immediately go outside to see what's happening. I literally see rocks being thrown over the fence at my dog while he is trying to hide. I tell Karen and her kids what the heck and to leave my dog alone, and she just goes on and picks up one of her kids over the fence to start hitting me while the rocks are trying to be thrown at my window because I put my dog inside. I pick the kid up and put him back to his mom and call the police. The police come and I tell them about them throwing rocks at my dog to the kid hitting me. The police hears from her as well, but it is clear that she was guilty. She was then charged with animal abuse. The kids went with their dad overseas and I never heard from them again. I ended up moving to a different town and sold the house. Story 5. This story is from 11 years ago. It was late 2007 and I had just gotten a part-time job offer in your neighborhood electronics, and now defunct, store named RA's. I was a college kid and about a few months before, I had knee surgery which forced me to quit my previous part-time job. So when I joined RS, I was told that aside from extremely rare circumstances of when I may have to fetch a thing or two from the back room or basement, my job was to sell. I was a sales associate customer assistant, and we had one or two stock persons whose sole job was to stock the shelf, fetch the merchandise, etc. Then the store management. Those are salaried employees. For us, the sales associates, we would get paid by the hour, and it was absolutely the minimum wage. But if you sell RS branded accessories, then we would get something like maybe 5% of the selling price. And when we sold brand new cell phones, we would get $20 or $25 per new account, $10 for an additional line on that. And if we upgraded, relocked the contract for another 2 years, we would get $10 for that account. Can be one line or can be more than one. This extra parentage was called spiff. The stock person is supposed to be paid a little bit more than the minimum salaries, and that's about it. All of us were trained weekly to sell add-ons. And the better seller you are, the more money you can make. When I joined the store, I was required to spend my own money to buy the color combination clothes that the corporate office decided for the season. One time it was a red shirt and black pants. Another time it was a black shirt and gray pants. And since your clothes have to be presentable, that means buy 2 of each at least, with your own money. Few days after I joined, I got to know that the stock person is a friend relative of the manager. So, he gets to sit down in the back room for training while we have to fetch the merchandise that we sell. As I mentioned earlier, I had knee surgery not even 2 months earlier, and this store's back room had a cage that only contained cell phones and GPS, while TV, stereo, speakers and other accessories were in the basement. If we sell TV or any big-ticket item, we get nothing, but if we sell batteries for that remote, power strip, antenna, etc., we get about 5%. So since our stock person was occupied, we had to get those items from the basement. As you can imagine, it was not the most pleasant thing to do with a still bandaged leg. Not to mention, that was not in the sales associate's job description. Our manager, let's call her Karen, made a new rule, since we are clearly making a lot more money as sales associates than a stock person. Now we have to share our spiff equally with a stock person on duty while we are selling, and when we ask this stock person to get us the item, they would tell us to get it ourselves. We still had to do so to be able to complete the transaction and not fight in front of the customer, and all while we're giving them the equal share of our spiff. Nice. Now, whenever new stock deliveries are made, it is generally the management team, salaried person, and the stock person's job to stock them up or place them in the basement or in the cage. But Karen had better ideas. She told us, if you are going to work here, then you will have to replenish the entire store at the end of the day. If the delivery trucks come, you have to sort them and place them in the stockroom yourself, or else you will be fired. Now, keep in mind that I am still a full-time college student and also have family responsibilities to attend to. and my part-time job was supposed to be no more than 20 hours. She made me come at 4 p.m. and sign out at 8 p.m. for 5 days. Signing out does not mean you are done. It means you will only get paid for the time of 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. And then, you must tidy up the place, restock the shelf, vacuum, throw the trash, and if the deliveries are coming, it was 2 days a week at least. Boy, it's your lucky day, because if the truck comes after 10 p.m., you get all the joy and happiness of taking care of it, sometimes beyond 1 a.m. in the morning. When it was during Black Fridays, I remember leaving the place at 5:30 a.m., came in at 4 p.m. the day before, worked until 8 p.m., and then stock up for Black Friday sale, only to come back 2.5 hours later at 8 a.m. and work until 1 a.m. the next day. That day she instituted a new rule only for that Black Friday: only sell big-ticket items to boost the store's numbers. A contest was going on from the corporate office. The store manager with the highest sales per district would get a huge bonus and some other perks. She expressly told us not to sell any accessories, although that was what we made our money on. Now, even on a Black Friday sale, if you sell a TV, someone would want batteries or antennas for it, right? I ended up accumulating lots of money, which was supposed to be my spiff. And besides, I was extremely good at selling. And there were times when someone came in for just 2 batteries only, and I ended up selling him about 4K worth of merchandise. But she ended up denying all of us that spiff, since she told us not to sell that and only sell big-ticket items. She only paid us for 8 hours worth of work per person. This kept on going for a while. When Karen would go have extended lunch, had to maintain a pedicure, hair appointments, clothes shopping, etc. for professional outlook and betterment of the business. While in business hours, phones from the cage, which she and only the shift manager would have keys to, would go missing. Right before my first midterm exam, my uncle had a heart attack and I had to fly to Montreal for 72 hours to see him. Of course I let Karen know. The whole time I was in Montreal, I could not sleep for a second, and the day I came back, our flight landed at 10 a.m. My exam was from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. I had told her that I won't work that day since I would have exams right after I land. I run to my college to take my exam, while I get calls after calls from her that I need to show up to work that day since the stock person is sick, and I had to help with the delivery truck, or else I am fired. I finish my exam at 3 p.m., run to the store before 4 p.m., get dressed and work till 8 p.m. That day I worked until 12:30 a.m. midnight. At this point, I have not slept for more than 80 hours. Okay, maybe slept an hour or two in between. But you can understand when you are visiting a relative who is having an emergency surgery, how much sleep you can get, and I was dying to sleep. That job is the reason I got a Red Bull and 5-hour energy drink addiction. All while I had a vicious and painful popped ear from a flight that lasted for more than 3 days. That was the last straw. The next day, I slept for more than 12 hours. Go to work. And the following day, someone called the state labor department with all these allegations of forced labor, no pay, stolen items, etc. The Department of Labor then contacts the RS corporate office, and 2 days later, I see Karen crying hysterically and packing her stuff. Apparently the corporate office, instead of confronting the situation, chose to fire her, and Karen is asking us to make calls and write letters on her behalf to say that those allegations are not true. Her friend, the stock person, told her in the face, "Told you to tone it down with your employees, but you wouldn't listen." She leaves. Month or two later, a guy walks in, says he is a manager of some bigger electronics store, and someone, Karen, of course, just joined his store as an assistant manager. He is just curious and took it upon himself to find out how good she was as a manager. I bought him coffee that day and spent about half an hour with him in the nearest Dunkin' Donuts. After that, I heard she was trying to get unemployment. After that, we had a chilled-up manager who was an awesome person. Loved him. But a month or two later, I found a job, while still in college, in my field and ran to it. Edit. So many are asking why I, and others, accepted that fate so long. We were young and dumb. I'm first-generation immigrant American. College kid trying to keep a part-time job right when the US economy was taking a nosedive. Didn't know better. Story 6. Hey everyone, my name is Alice, 32-year-old female, and I saw that people were posting their traumas here. So I figured that maybe this story would get a chuckle or give someone a sense of karmic retribution. I wanted to share a story from when I was a part-time employee at a small warehouse store during the last few years of high school, and about a particular customer who proved that no matter how old you are, you can still be unpleasant. For context, this was back in 2011. I was 18 at the time and part of a program that helped young adults who wanted to earn some extra money. Since my high school credits were basically completed, I was eager to earn early income while avoiding going home to an empty house. Thankfully, this program landed me a stocking job at a warehouse store whose name starts with smart and ends in a word that rhymes with spinal. This was my last year of high school, and I had saved up a nice little nest egg. Working there was fairly easy, even if the job itself was labor-intensive. The best part was the people, my coworkers, were not only understanding, but formed one big, close-knit community that welcomed me with open arms. Even my manager, who had only started managing the place 2 weeks before I did, got along with me really well. I had never once felt unsafe there. At least, not until she showed up. Allow me to explain how it all went down. It was the middle of my summer shift, a time when I was especially grateful to be indoors with working air conditioning. I was stocking cans at the time, specifically chili cans, when I noticed a seemingly sweet older lady hobbling toward me. She had a walker and looked exactly like the stereotype: gray, curly granny hair, wrinkles everywhere, the whole 9 yards. But she was surprisingly quick for someone using a walker. Being the kind of person who genuinely enjoyed helping customers, I waited to see if she needed anything. Sure enough, she hailed me down and asked, "Excuse me, young lady, I think there's something wrong with the prices on your bread. Is the sale still going on?" I was confused, as the only sales going on at the time were for products meant to cool you down: popsicles, flavored electrolyte drinks, things like that. But I figured it was just an honest mistake or something I might have overlooked. So, using my usual customer service tone, I replied, "Oh, I'm sorry, ma'am. That must be a mistake on our end. May I see the advertisement with the price that you saw?" She handed me an extremely old advertisement, so dusty and worn that it was practically crumbling in my hands. The pictures were faded, and the prices were unbelievably low, as if they'd never seen inflation. I assumed it was a simple mistake, or maybe that she had some memory issues. It seemed like an honest mix-up, so I kindly explained to her that the ad was from years ago and that we no longer honored those prices. "Oh," she replied. "Well, since it's listed here, can I have the bread for that price?" That was my first sign something was off. "No, ma'am, I cannot lower the price of bread to that amount, even if I had the authority to change prices. But I can show you a bread similar to that one, and it's very affordable." "No, you'll lower the price of the bread for me, won't you, dear?" I froze for a second. The sweet older lady was now becoming more and more assertive, clearly determined to get her way. "Ma'am, I'm sorry, but I cannot," I began, but she immediately cut me off. "I don't think you heard me. I am elderly, and this is your price. You will be giving me this price. It's in your advertisement. It doesn't matter how old the ad is. This is the price, so you are going to give me that price." Still holding fast to my principles, I did my best to remain polite, hoping it might help her calm down and meet me halfway. "Ma'am, I cannot reprice the bread that low, or else I would have to offer the same deal to other customers." This only made her more upset. "Now you listen here, you silly child. I am an old woman. I do not deserve this kind of nonsense. I have lived much longer than you, and I know what's right. So you are going to put it at that price. You are going to fix this. You are going to sell me what I want, how I want it, because I am a customer. And you won't say anything about it because I am elderly, and no one is going to believe you. So hush, do your job, and give me my groceries or else." That was the last straw. There were so many things I wanted to say in response, but I bit my tongue for fear of getting written up. Instead, I picked up my walkie-talkie and calmly called in. Manager's price check in aisle 8. My manager came along, and to make a long story short, she told the woman exactly what I did after the lady tried her pitch again. But my boss wasn't buying it and promptly informed the customer that if she didn't like the price, she was not required to spend her money there. This made the woman furious. She began knocking cans off the shelves and stormed out toward the parking lot in a rage. Unfortunately, we didn't get her license plate at the time. Yes, at the time, because she came back again to try the same thing on me. Same ad, same request. I figured she either forgot who I was and thought I was a new hire or just wanted to keep pestering me until I gave in. So I told her, once again, "Ma'am, I cannot lower the price for you. That advertisement is outdated. Also, you are no longer welcome in this store. My manager has banned you, and we have your picture from our security cameras posted near the registers. Please leave the store and shop elsewhere." She was fuming. But she didn't throw a tantrum this time. She just walked out, huffing and puffing, without saying another word. The calmness of her exit made my stomach drop. I had a bad feeling. I called it in over the walkie-talkies to my manager, who immediately jumped on the security cameras and transferred me to the cashier position to help me refocus and distance myself from the incident. I thought that was the end of it. But no. This woman was determined to cause more trouble. About 30 minutes later, my manager came rushing up to me, clearly upset. She told me to come with her to the back office. I was confused but followed her, worried I was somehow in trouble. The moment we entered, she gestured toward the phone, which was still off the hook and on speaker. A man's voice was coming through. "Yes, that is correct. I am the woman's son, and I demand to speak to the girl who threatened my elderly mother." My jaw dropped. "Excuse me," I asked, already feeling my heart begin to race. "You heard me," he snapped. "You threatened my mother and treated her like dirt. You made her cry and refused to sell her what she needed. You're lucky I don't come down there and make you apologize in person." I was stunned. Before I could even respond, my manager snatched the phone off the desk and spoke in the calmest voice I've ever heard her use. "Sir, my name is Deborah. I'm the manager of this location, and I witnessed the entire interaction your mother had with my employee. Not only did your mother use threatening language and demand illegal price adjustments using an outdated ad, but she also damaged store property and was banned from this location. Your daughter, my employee acted appropriately and professionally the entire time. If your mother continues to show up here, we will be forced to contact the police and press charges." There was a moment of silence on the other end before he blurted out, "Well, I'm reporting you to corporate." Deborah didn't even flinch. "Go ahead, sir. I've already filed a report with them and attached the security footage. If you'd like to take this further, you're welcome to. But be aware that we do not tolerate harassment of our staff." And just like that, she hung up. I looked at her, completely speechless. She just smiled and patted me on the shoulder. "Don't worry, you did everything right. Just keep your head down today, okay?" I nodded, grateful beyond belief. I had been so scared that this was somehow going to fall on me. But we weren't done yet. The next morning, Deborah informed me that the same woman had come back again, this time in a different outfit and wig, trying to sneak past security. A cashier recognized her and called it in. By the time police arrived, she had already left, but they filed an official report with her license plate, which the security team finally managed to catch on camera. She was officially banned from all regional locations, not just ours. Apparently, this woman had a reputation for trying to pull stunts like this. Other stores had noted similar incidents, and corporate finally issued a region-wide alert on her and her son, warning staff to call law enforcement immediately if either of them showed up again. After that day, I never saw her again. I ended up working at that store for another year before heading off to college, and nothing like that ever happened to me again. But I still think about that old woman, sometimes how she genuinely believed that being elderly gave her the right to lie, harass staff, and demand free groceries. It was baffling. To this day, whenever I see someone pull out a super old coupon or demand to speak to a manager over something petty, I get war flashbacks to the bread incident. But if nothing else, it taught me how important it is to stand your ground and how lucky I was to have a manager who actually stood up for me.